Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Video Game Collectors on Call. Dr. Gamer Retro here. Today I have a special guest. We're going to maybe take a little bit of a break from the collecting theme of things, and we're going to go with a pretty popular streamer right now. I have Noah, the Scenic Gamer. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Happy to be here, Doctor.
Excellent, excellent. No, we're happy to have you. I appreciate you coming by today. So you have a channel known as the Scenic Gamer, which lots of people might be familiar with. Tell me about the origins of that and when it started and where you got the idea for that.
Yeah, that's a fun story. So I'm still a pretty new channel. I believe I started right around September or so. So still like, 4 months in, and
Wow. Yeah.
it's just taken off ever since I started it up. And I think it's for good reason. I came up with this idea. I wanted to bring my passions to life, which are gaming and travel. So I love doing both of those. And I wanted to make it into something. And one day I was out garage sailing, as I do, and I found an old box CRT TV for $1, which I bought from that garage sale. And it kind of gave me that idea of, maybe I can combine this with going to scenic spots and, playing and streaming games from those locations. And, the possibilities for that are kind of endless. So I've been having so much fun with it. And I, have so many more ideas that I'm trying to bring to life.
What was the first game that you did, and what was the location?
So I had a couple trial runs. It wasn't easy at first. When I
I'm
started it,
sure.
yeah, I had a few games. I did Pokemon and Mario Kart. Pokemon, I used a Game Boy Advance player for the GameCube to put that on the TV. And I kind of got discouraged at first. I couldn't figure out how to capture the CRT, like the FPS. It wouldn't show up on the phone when I was filming. So I tried switching
Wow.
over to like a newer TV, and that I'm like, that just didn't look as good. So I figured out, you have to go at a certain point of the day when it's just dark enough to capture that on the phone and on the GoPro. And then my first official stream for that was Zelda Wind Waker. So one
Okay.
of my favorite
Okay.
games.
All right. I've never, I've mentioned before, I don't really get much into the Zelda games, but they are pretty
Mhm.
popular. So I'm sure that garnered a lot of views. We talked a little bit before we got started, and you mentioned to me, but so in terms of collecting, you do the Scenic Gamer thing, but would you consider yourself a collector of video games as well?
I would. And, like I kind of mentioned to you before we started this stream, there are probably so many people out there who have much bigger collections than I. So, I don't consider myself in the big leagues, but I do have almost every system out there and a bunch of games for all the systems. So, I definitely consider myself a collector at this point.
Have you done a Scenic game for each of the systems yet, or still working on that?
I'd say a majority of them. I still have to knock a few off the list, but
Huh?
like I said, I'm still new. We're going to get there.
How do you decide what to stream, like what game you're going to do, and again, what location? I know sometimes your games and locations are related. I know you did GTA, I think, in the areas of the GTA map, but how do you typically decide those?
Yeah, so I live out in Los Angeles, which kind of gives me endless possibilities for locations to stream. You have the city, you have the beach, you have the mountains, and all these great locations. So, what goes in my head before a stream is what, game would fit that location, and look really good there. Usually I do it at sunset. And like you've said with GTA, there's some games where I actually go to the actual locations in which
Hmm.
they take
Hmm.
place.
Yeah.
And those are really fun, to especially with GTA to like have your guy go to the location in the game where you are in real life, and like a bunch of people
Right.
always come up and talk to me and like ask and want to watch as I play too. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's another question I had. So I imagine while you're doing this, all kinds of people come up. Is that, I'm sure you welcome that. It's not distracting
Yeah.
to your stream or anything, right?
No, I love it. I love talking. I mean, that's part of the reason I got into it is just so I can share this idea and this content and, all the videos and pictures I take with people, because it's fun to share with people. And so many people come up to me and talk, and sometimes I'll let them play with me for the streams and join in the gaming. Because why not?
Very cool. Yeah, like multiplayer games or something. If you're playing Smash Brothers, someone
Yeah,
comes up and
I
have you ever
was
had someone come up and they just annihilated you at Smash Brothers or something?
that hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure one of these days I'll meet my match.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I had a good one when we were above Dodger Stadium overlooking Los Angeles. There was this whole family that came up to me, and these young kids wanted to learn how to play Mario Baseball. So I taught them, and it was
Cool.
kind of a wholesome moment, teaching the younger
Yeah, yeah.
generations about the old games.
Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely. So do you have a specific schedule for when you do these, or is it just kind of whenever you have the time, or is there some sort of set schedule that you have?
I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah,
Yeah.
tis my life,
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever a date works best into the schedule, or you got to look at the weather, especially since I'm always going outdoors to do these. And like right now, the LA wildfires are taking place, so I can't even
Right.
go outside because of the air quality. It's so bad. So I'm kind of putting off outdoor streaming for the next week or so.
Do
But
you ever
yeah,
go to locations that maybe you have to like ask in advance and say, "Hey, my name's so and so. I want to do this thing. Is it cool if I show up?" Or do you just show up and just do it in typical public areas?
I guess the lesson I learned from that is it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Okay.
I'd say mostly public areas, but sometimes if you're pushing boundaries, you know, it depends. Obviously, if it's someone's like private property, I'm not just gonna
Yeah.
trespass, I'm gonna ask them.
Yeah.
I haven't really done that yet. But around Christmas time, I actually got I don't know. This one video went viral of
Yeah.
Santa Claus kicking me out of like a
I
trolley
yeah.
museum when I was filming the Polar Express game.
I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you never really know what's gonna happen when you go to these places. Or like Griffith
Yeah.
Observatory for GTA 5. I had a bunch of
Uh-huh.
guards come up to me, but they just wanted to see the game. They didn't, want to kick me.
Okay. They didn't kick you out. That's great.
Yeah, so I mean, most
But
people have fun with it, and they're on board with the idea.
so is there a process for when you set all this up, or I imagine there's difficulty with power supply, like lots of extension cords, or tell me about that.
Yeah, so there's kind of a ton of trial and error that has gone into the whole process of how I make, this scenic gaming happen. So, I mean, 4 months ago until today, so much has changed, and I can only imagine it's going to get more efficient as I'm moving into the future. But basically, I take a wagon and I carry all my stuff out to these locations. So that includes the big TV that I'm playing all the games on. Usually I'm only bringing one system for the day that I'm streaming on, just so it doesn't create too much weight and, too much stuff to do if I'm bringing multiple systems and
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
games out there.
Are you
All the
bringing multiple
controllers.
games or just one
Yeah.
game?
So yeah, I'll try to get content for different games for each location I'm going and then do like one long stream for
Okay.
the location as well.
Okay. Does
But yeah,
anyone
that's
help you,
kind
or
of
you do all this by yourself, or you have help, or
it's either by myself or I have my brother who helps me. He kind of films most of my vlogs and videos. He helps me with and edits those. So he is Scenic Skunk. You can find him on social media. He's
okay,
he's kind of
okay,
behind the scenes of everything. He's yeah,
all
brings it
right,
all to life. Yeah.
okay,
So it
very
helps
good.
when he's there, especially if it's like
Sure,
a trek. Like we just did a 2 mile hike to get to a scenic location and like carrying all that stuff. It's a lot of work. So we take shifts, pulling that wagon.
I bet.
Yeah, and also you had mentioned extension cords. We actually,
Yeah,
aren't running any like long extension cords from a car or like people have so many theories about that. Like that's their main question when they
right.
see my videos. But I actually use a power station that I got off Amazon. I kind of took a gamble on it because I didn't know how much power I would need
Yeah,
to, you get the TV and the game system, and sometimes I'll
right.
throw lights in there too. But it's worked out really well. It'll run for like 4 hours or so, depending
Oh,
on,
that's not bad. Yeah,
yeah, what your like some systems will take more power than others. So I mean,
makes sense.
it's pretty solid though. So that's kind of all that goes into it. And I have a couple, behind the scenes videos showing those steps that it takes to get to that point.
Very cool. So, what is your favorite place that you've streamed a game at, and why?
Oh, that's such a great question. I've
Yeah,
had so many awesome spots. I love going to the beach, even though it's a lot of work to get the wagon out there. Like the
I
sunsets are
bet.
beautiful. There's so many games you can play out there. I've had a few favorites. I would say most recently that spot where I said we hiked 2 miles up to like a
Hmm.
graffiti outlook in Topanga, overlooking like Los Angeles. You could see the ocean. That was amazing. It took a
Hmm.
lot of work to get there. And it's actually, I think with the LA wildfires right now, it might be getting burned down. So, I mean, that was a
Wow.
cool spot. It's sad, yeah, that's
Yeah.
happening. I would say that, or some of the GTA spots have been fun. Griffith Observatory
Uh-huh.
was an awesome one, and we have a lot more planned for the new year as well. So excited to bring those out.
What place was the hardest to get to? Was it the hike you were talking about, or something else that was more
I would
difficult than
say
that?
that one, or yeah, that was pretty tough. Like it wasn't just an easy hike on like a dirt path. Like it was rocky, and you had to carry it. And the thing that a lot of people don't see with the videos is like I stream into the dark, into the night, and like on the way
Mm,
back, then you have to carry everything back at night. So it makes it even tougher. But I'd say that or the beach is tough to get out there as well. To pull that through the sand is no easy task.
what's the farthest you've streamed away from home? Like you mentioned LA, is everything in LA, or have you went to other states or?
I've gone to Zion National Park in Utah. That was probably the farthest I've gone. We had some fun streams out there in the national park with a couple amazing backdrops. Like we did Zelda Ocarina of Time, which a lot of people loved out there. Some Pokemon games, Lego Star Wars. You name it. We did a little bit of everything. That was a fun time. Big plans for the new year. Hopefully, getting to some new spots as well further
Big
out.
plans. Any
Yeah,
plans for any international streams, like going to other countries?
we'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to. There's so many places, I'd love to get everywhere. If I can
Yeah.
somehow find a way to fund all of these trips to go,
Right.
overseas and film these different games, that would be awesome. I'd love to get to Japan, especially. I think would be my number one on my list.
What's your ideal kind of, I guess, on your bucket list match list? Meaning, you have a game and you have a perfect place to stream it, but maybe it's international somewhere. Do you have one of those?
That's a great question. I don't know if there's like a specific like locate like playing in the actual location from the game
Uh,
that would be on my mind. I would love to play. I think it's just the more so like a general backdrop. I'd love to just
mm-hmm.
be maybe on the coasts of Ireland. I think would be really cool to film some games out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
or in the countryside of Japan would be another one that I'd
You
love to
could
do.
you could do have you ever played you know the movie The Thing? And it's also
Yeah,
a video game. Yeah, you could play The Thing in Antarctica. That'd be great. That'd be
I think that video would do well. I don't know how I would
yeah,
make that happen, but yeah, I
that would
love
be a good
all the
one.
comments I get. Like people give me so many different ideas for games I should play, like
Really.
Spider-Man in New York.
Uh-huh.
I kind of want to do GTA 6 in Miami once that comes out. We'll see.
I think I commented that you were playing Finding Nemo one time, and it was at the beach, and I said the
Yeah,
real goat would play it underwater in a submarine. So I'm still waiting for that submarine video. That'll
yeah.
be a good one.
I would love to make that happen. Or get on just
Yeah,
a boat in general for some of these
that's true.
games.
Yeah, boat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
I just need to
Yeah.
find some friends with boats. That's the first step.
Yeah. You talked about the whole Santa incident when you were streaming at the North Pole, but have you ever been kicked out of any other places? And what's the story behind that? If you're allowed to talk about it. I mean, you may be,
I don't
you're
know.
not allowed to
I don't.
talk.
I don't have any like non-disclosures or like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
anything in court right now. No,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
never get to that point. Hopefully,
yeah.
that one was probably the biggest one. And that was like such a surprise. I didn't know that was going to happen either because it wasn't like on a private land necessarily. I guess we just moved to a little bit of a different spot.
Hmm.
I mean, the one we have to watch out for, like going to public places, is like parks. Sometimes in specific parks, they'll close at a certain time. And we were at Lake Hollywood trying to film GTA there, but they closed at 5 p.m., like before we could even get any footage. But for that incident, they closed the gate exactly at 5, and we had just made it out of there, or we would have been locked in the park. So, I mean, that was another one. We haven't really been kicked out of too many places. Hopefully, it stays that way. But
So the video with the Santa Claus thing, I remember they said something about if they saw you playing, the kids wouldn't believe it was really the North Pole or something. So my question, and did you ask them this? What if you dressed up as elves and then showed up there and did it? Would that be acceptable then?
I think that's what Mrs. Claus said towards the end of the video. She's like,
Huh?
you're not dressed as an elf or anything. And it's
Yeah.
funny because my dad, I was actually, home for Christmas, and he was behind the camera for me. It was his first
Uh,
time. I asked him, can you come out and film some content? And that's what happens. We're getting kicked out of the North Pole outside of the Polar Express. So that was really funny. I didn't want to push any limits. They weren't really nice about it, I guess. But I didn't want to
yeah.
like push them further to that point. So
Right, right, right.
we
How
relocated
long
a little bit.
how long were you there before they finally said something? Was it as soon as you set up or it?
It was probably like
Oh,
to
okay.
20 minutes. Like I had just set up
Okay.
the game, I had just turned it on, was just starting to get some footage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then
they
Mrs.
just cut me
Claus
out.
comes out and yeah.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Do
fun
you
though.
do
I'm
you
always
ever
in good spirits. You know, if
good.
people don't want me in a certain area, I'll just
Yeah.
move. Yeah.
Do you ever dress up? Since we talked about elves, do you ever dress up as any characters or anything?
That's a
Like,
great question. I haven't yet, but
oh, okay.
I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I'm very
Okay.
open to doing that. I mean, usually
Okay.
like I'm not in front of the camera most of the time. Like that's for the behind the scenes stuff. Like I try
Right.
to get the TV and the game system and the backdrop is normally
Yeah.
what I'm filming, but
Okay.
I would love to figure that out where I can dress up into some characters.
I recently went to Hawaii and I went to, I think it's called Kualoa Ranch, where they filmed Jurassic Park. I
Oh, yeah,
think that would
I've been
be
to.
excellent. Yeah, I think that'd be excellent, if you could somehow get access to that and do a Jurassic Park. Now, the Jurassic Park games, in my opinion, are not that great, but,
The
it's
only
just
one
the
I've
whole.
played is on the Sega Genesis. Are there others
Okay.
more
Oh,
recent
there
than
are.
that? A
There's one
ton.
on the PlayStation. Yeah, there's one on the PlayStation. There's one where you actually build your own park, which is kind of cool, and that's on PS2 and Xbox. I forget what that one's called, but it's kind of like a Sims thing where you're building your own park and your attractions. But
Yeah. The fun thing about that is I actually own a Jurassic Park Jeep. I customized it back in high school. Yeah, so we're gonna implement that into a stream. It's kind of put away for the winter
yeah,
because it's back in the cold, back where I'm from, in the
okay,
Midwest. So we're waiting for summer. Maybe we'll do like a fun stream with that, or like you said, if we can get back
yeah,
to Hawaii, there's a lot of
yeah.
options out there.
That would be awesome. So, this is a video game collecting podcast, and so I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about games a little bit. But so,
Mhm.
tell me what your personal favorite video game of all time is.
That's a tough question. I'm sure everyone has a hard time answering. For me, it would have to be probably Pokemon. That's what got me into gaming. Pokemon Leaf Green was probably my first game on the Game Boy that when I was growing
Okay.
up, in that era, I would say I really got into gaming with that. And then for me, it was probably PlayStation 2 was the first time where I was getting into that myself. So all those PlayStation 2 games, I started probably with PlayStation 1 and my dad. We played a lot, me, him, and my brother. Some of the Crash Bash, Spyro, Scooby
Yeah.
Doo games. But
Yeah.
Pokemon's probably my all-time favorite, Leaf Green. And then I would also say Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on GameCube, and probably like Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness on GameCube.
So Pokemon Green. So I'm not into Pokemon either. It's not really one of my things I play, but I know. So Red and Blue were like the originals, right? The first two, and then you have Yellow that comes out, and then is Green somewhere soon after Yellow.
Yeah, so I believe, yeah, it was Leaf Green and Fire Red are kind of like they're the
Uh,
same as each other, and you had
uh,
which was Gen 1, and then Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, which
okay.
was Gen 3. You
Don't
also
worry
have
if we're wrong. Someone will correct us if we're wrong. Don't
yeah, I'm
worry. There's
sure.
plenty. Of, yeah. So we're not experts on Pokemon, guys. So don't. Yeah. Okay. What about this? Is a question I ask a lot of people too. What about the worst game you've ever played? And this might be difficult, but a game you thought was going to be good and you played it and you're like, man, this is not good at all. Has that ever happened to you?
I don't think that's ever happened where I go in with like hype and I'm disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
But one game does come to mind for worst game I've ever played. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever heard of this one.
What?
It's called like Sneak King. Have
I
you
have
heard of
heard of it.
that?
Is that the Burger King one?
Burger King game. I
It's
remember
not
like
good.
I played it so many years ago. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. I'm pretty sure it's like a 5 minute game. Maybe I'll get corrected by some haters in the comments or something, but it was like I think it was a promotional game or something where
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
think
even
there
a
were
game.
three. I think there were like
Oh,
three
really?
different
Okay.
Burger King games. There was Sneak King.
Maybe
There
I
was like
don't
a
know about it. I own
racing
it though,
one. Yeah.
and I plan to hopefully stream in a Burger King with that game eventually. We'll
Okay.
see.
So not
But
not
yeah,
a yeah.
that
I've
game I
never
just
played it.
remember was bad.
Okay, I have never played it. So for me, it's funny because I've actually never mentioned on my stream what my least favorite game I've ever played, and it's actually a game I played recently that someone recommended to me on my stream. It's a game called Time Commando. It's for PlayStation One. I don't know if you've ever heard
I've
of
heard
that
of
one.
it. I've never played it though.
Man, it is difficult. The controls are terrible. The graphics are awful. It's just everything about that game is just 0 stars. It's probably the worst game I've ever played. And I played it because someone recommended it, and I think they were trolling me when they recommended it in the
Mm.
first place. But what about console wise? What's your favorite console of all time?
It's got to be the GameCube for me. That's the one I play the most and it stood the test of time for me in the games. I
Hmm.
would say that and the PlayStation 2 are like top for me on consoles. I love those and have the most games and play those probably the most. Those are probably the most of my content as well that you've seen that
Yeah,
I post.
yeah.
Like I have a bunch of different consoles, but those everyone loves those games on the GameCube and I do too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so then Wind Waker would be your favorite GameCube game since that you
yeah, Wind
mentioned?
Waker or
Yeah.
Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. That
Okay.
one is, they don't make them like that anymore.
What about multiplayer wise? What's your favorite multiplayer game of all time?
Multiplayer,
Yeah. Any
here's
system.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say Shrek 2. I just played that one like recently with some friends.
Well,
Like that's
first
like
off, I didn't even know that was multiplayer.
so it's yeah, it's 4 player and you play like a story mode and it's
Okay.
like it's awesome. I remember just playing that back in the day with some friends on a couch and we just redid it, last summer and it was so much fun. Um I don't know if you were talking like online multiplayer or just like
Just no, just
multiplayer.
anything. Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah.
anything.
I would say that and growing up, me and my brother, we were like into Lego Star Wars a lot. That was a big game for us.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, Crash Bash, we still run that one every day. Not every day, every year with our dad too, if we can.
So Crash Bash was a Crash Bandicoot game, correct? And it
Correct.
was it kind of like a bunch of mini games, or I've never played Crash Bash,
Yeah,
so
exactly. So it's like mini games that have levels and they evolve and get tougher, and you
huh?
play. You kind of have to play with someone else because if you play with the computer, like it gets more difficult as it goes on. It's actually a tough game. Some of those old ones are surprisingly tough to beat, and that's one of them right there.
Is it cooperative or it's
Yeah,
versus cooperative?
yeah.
Okay.
There might be a versus mode, but it's the main game's co-op.
Okay. A lot of memories I have of multiplayer games are from Nintendo 64. So, Smash Brothers, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Mario Kart. Did you ever get into any of those or?
So I own all those games you just said, but
Yeah.
I have not played most of them. Like I just got an N64 for the first time this year, to be honest, even though I've
Oh,
owned those
okay.
games for a long time. But that was a little bit before my time growing up, so I just never
Hmm.
got into it. And then I just played it for the first time like a month or two ago, and I'm like, I know what all the hype is about now. This is a
Hmm.
legit system and so much fun. So I'm definitely gonna dive into all those.
So I imagine you play games outside of what you stream, right? What we see you stream is not the only games you're playing. So is there something you're currently playing or working on beating right now?
My schedule's just been so busy and all over the place where it's like I have so many games on my list that I'm trying to get to, and I've been putting so much time into the Scenic Gamer accounts that you see and making all this content. And
Yeah,
so I haven't
it's
really
like a
got into,
full-time job.
yeah, it's been a lot and I enjoy it. I'm not taking any
Yeah.
second for granted, but I do have some games. Like I got some for my birthday from my brother, like Hunter x Hunter, Game Boy, I want to play. He got me like some anime games because I'm into anime, so I have some of those on the list. I think like Attack
Gotcha.
on Titan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got
What's the
Hogwarts
last game?
Legacy, which I'm still meaning to play. I
Oh,
got that
that's a great game. Yeah, yeah, it's a great game.
last year, and I just haven't even put it in yet. But
I think that game has a lot of replayability. There's a lot of side missions, and if you really want to 100% it, there's a lot to do and a lot to see. If you just want to play straight through, it still is a pretty long game. I made it to the final, like the very end, and I haven't beat the very final boss yet because it's just
really,
incredibly difficult. But it's a great game. I'm not like a huge Harry Potter fan, but I've seen all the movies. I read the books when I was younger, and I think it does a really good job of kind of making you feel like you're in the world of Harry Potter.
well, that's
Another
good
game
to
that
hear.
another game that kind of does that is the Indiana Jones game that just came out. I don't know if you played that or heard of it.
I haven't played it. I heard of it.
Yeah, also a
It's
pretty
good.
good job of kind of getting you in, like you feel like you're in the movie, like you're an Indiana Jones himself. So thought I did a pretty good job.
That and Red Dead Redemption 2. I own it. I started it at one point, I
Uh,
think a couple of years
uh,
ago, and
yeah,
I haven't found that I need more time in my life to play all these games,
sure,
but I'll
sure.
get there
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. I have never played Red Dead Redemption. I have a couple friends who swear by it, say it's great.
Yeah,
To
I
me,
mean the
and
world
again,
does basically.
yeah, to me, I've never played it, but it kind of seems like if GTA were in the like Wild Wild West, that's what you would have. And I don't know if that's an
Yeah,
accurate statement, but
I
it
played the
seems pretty.
OG one on PlayStation 2. I was like Red Dead Revolver or something. That one was one of
Ah,
my
right.
favorite games. So it's like I know
Okay.
I'll be into it. I just need to make the time to play it.
Yeah. What's the last video game you beat from start to finish?
Start to finish, last video
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
That's a great question because I feel like lately it's been so many games where I'm playing like multiplayer, just not playing the whole game for like all the content. I feel like it might be Shrek 2 to be honest. That was like
Okay.
this previous
Okay.
summer when we played we had four of us playing the whole game together.
I I imagine
Start to
Shrek 2
finish.
is kind of like a Mario Party style game, but it's not, right? I mean, when I think of
No, it's
Shrek,
kind of it just goes along the storyline, which is kind of funny.
yeah,
You know, games don't really do that anymore today. They don't make like movie games like they used to.
right.
But yeah, that was a fun one. I'm trying, I should have prepared some answers in my mind for that.
Ah,
I
that's
think it was
okay.
the last
That's
game. Yeah.
that's okay. So, another thing I always ask everyone on the show is any advice you have. Usually, I say any advice you have to people who are getting into video game collecting. But I guess the advice that I would want you to provide is any advice to people who want to start making content or streaming or kind of doing things like you do. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have a lot of people message me about this. How can we make it as a content creator, or what can we do? And for me, there's so many things that go into it. I think you got to first off, you should do something that you enjoy. Obviously, something you love to do every day. It's not going to be seen as extra work or anything else. You're just chasing your dream, having fun doing it. That's first. And then I'd also say, find a niche in that category. If there's a bunch of people out there doing similar things, what can you like tweak a little bit about it to make it different? I feel like that's what's helped me the most with my channel is, it's a little bit different than what other people do. And I've also gotten just really lucky as well in the process. So I mean, just stay true to yourself along the whole way. Yeah, and hope for some luck along the way, and
Yeah,
people will come if you put out a good product and you're really into it, you invest everything, people will enjoy and see that and want to
yeah.
follow you and your whole process.
And I think another important thing that someone else has echoed before is to be consistent. So if you post a
Yeah.
video and then you wait like 3 months and then you post another video, or maybe for a period of a month every day you post a video and then you're off for like 2 months. So I think consistency is probably pretty. And I'm not by any means an expert on content creation or anything, but as a viewer, I think consistency is good because you can anticipate the Scenic Gamer is going to do another stream on this Thursday, so we got to tune in and watch it. So
Yeah,
I think that's important as well.
I agree big time. I mean, when I started out, I probably went a whole month without gaining many followers, and I, was posting a couple times a day, which I still do. I think that idea of consistency pays off over time.
Yeah.
And it also refines, I feel like, your product, because you're just going to keep getting better the more you post as well on
Oh
the
yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if you watch some of my earlier streams, for example, I have no background, and I've tried to make at least a little bit of a
Yeah.
background,
I
and
mean, me too.
as we
I
go
wish
along, yeah,
I was trying to make it where I could put all my games and, I got some lights and stuff and I'm like,
yeah.
it just wasn't working, and I'm not used to like
That's all
being on
right.
camera at home. I'm always out in the wild.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. No. That's
Yeah.
fine. In terms of where people can find you on social media, so I know you have Instagram, obviously, which is the Scenic Gamer Official, right?
A
What
funny
other?
story
What
about
other?
that. Funny
Yeah.
story before we go on to the other. I started my Instagram as the Scenic Gamer, and Instagram banned me. They thought I was a fake account. I tried to like,
Weird.
get it, yeah, confirmed, and they took that account off. I'm like, I didn't know why that happened, and now it's funny how much it's taken off after that
Yeah.
happened. But that did
What did
happen
they
to
give
me.
you a? Was there any reason, or they just said that it
I
didn't
think they
seem like
just
a
thought I
legit
was a
account?
fake account or something, and I tried to confirm my identity, gave them my ID and
Yeah.
everything, and they still deleted me. But you know what,
Wow.
Instagram, look where we're at now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so the Instagram, and then I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you have TikTok. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much on everything. TikTok, you'll find it under the Scenic Gamer. YouTube, Scenic Gamer Official. Twitch, Scenic Gamer Official. Facebook, Scenic Gamer, and Snapchat as well. I think that
Wow.
covers all.
Okay.
Twitter as well. I'm kind of everywhere. I try to
Okay.
get to all
Yeah.
audiences. So
And no website though. Do you have like a website or anything?
not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay. In the
I'm
works.
technologically challenged, I guess you could say, where it's like I'm trying to figure out everything along the way as I go.
Yeah.
But hopefully, eventually, we'll get a website and some other stuff out there for everyone.
So what's next for the Scenic Gamer? Is there anything on the horizon that you can hint to us at, or maybe tease for upcoming streams or anything?
There's so many. First off, I would
Hmm.
say more GTA 5 content. People really love that, so we're gonna hit some new
Mm.
locations. I'm not gonna tell you which ones, but we got a lot on the list. We also have some collabs incoming. So I
Okay,
want to
very
do
good.
more streams with other people and bring other gamers and people into the content. I think will be really fun, especially for. I think by the time this will be out, you'll see some of it. With
Hmm.
Rock Band, we're going to be bringing some professional musicians to do that because I play music as well.
Oh, very
So
cool.
that we have a lot of fun with that. So those are on the list, and I would just say keep an eye out for new locations.
Okay.
Hoping to get a lot of travel in this new year and bring the games and the TV along with me. So really excited to share that with everybody.
Well, good. We're all, I'm sure, at least me, I'm excited to watch. I do watch all your videos, and I don't catch your streams as much as I'd like to, just with being busy, but I do occasionally watch your streams. So they are, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the Scenic Gamer, it's kind of cool and surreal to see someone playing video games not in a house, for example. So I highly recommend you check out the Scenic Gamer, give him a follow, give him a like. Also, subscribe to this channel, like this video, support this mission that I have of connecting gamers everywhere, and different people all across the world. I've met so many great people, including Noah here as the Scenic Gamer. So we will see you guys next time on Video Game Collectors on Call. Thanks, Noah.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you having me on.